Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about bullets, and this will be a basic example of creating bullets for our little game or a game. So it's a simple example. Now there are other better ways of doing it this way, but like I said, this is a really basic example. Hopefully give you some ideas for how to move forward with your game idea. Alright, so what we're going to do here is this is my basic stub. You've probably seen this before if you followed my previous videos. Right? I have an app, I have a player, and an onload event that basically creates our Pixi application, puts it on the stage, or puts the stage on the body tag, and then creates a player and then puts it into the stage. Alright, so I'll launch the live server and we'll take a look at what that looks like, just as a refresher. Alright, so nothing really special there. So I'm going to bring up the developer tools also. Control-Shift-I, we'll bring that up. Alright, so we'll be using that. We'll go back in here. So one of the first things we'll do is I will move this into a div, only because I want to set up events, and I'll show you how that's going to work in a little bit. And I want that to be on the body. I want to be an event on a particular element, and so we're going to move this out of the body into our own div, for example. So I'll do a div, and I'll give it an ID of game div, for example here, and then we'll just change this to let's see, document.query selector all right, and then also query selector game div, and then apply that to it. All right, so then once I save that and I go back and look at what it looks like, nothing much has changed. Okay, difference though is if you look at this at the elements here, my game div now has our canvas. All right, and what this does is it allows us to do some styling. So we can say, for example, add some styles to say border 1px solid red, for example, and then so you can see that there's a border around my game now. So having it in here is kind of handy, so you can actually do some styling for the element and place it within a web page, because ultimately, obviously, this is a web application, so it's got to live somewhere. All right, so that's what that does. So the reason why we do that also is we want to add an event handler to it. Now the reason why we're doing it this way instead of using the app stage interactivity stuff is because something has changed in version 5 where the stage interactivity doesn't work the same way anymore. So in previous versions, you probably would have been able to do something like an app dots. Actually, we have to turn interactivity on first. So app.stage.interactive true. And then you would think you would be able to do an app.stage.on, say, pointer down, and then call our function, say, fire bullet. All right, so you think that this would work. Let's just see what happens here. Well, you need this function anyway, so we'll just code that. We'll do a console.log. All right, so now it's all going to say that. So if I run this, and look at here, let's bring these up now. So nothing happens, but if I click on this guy, on my player, it works. So it doesn't work here if I click out in the stage area, but if I click on the sprite, it works. And so it's kind of an odd thing, and that's probably not desirable. So to avoid this, or to at least not worry about this, is we can then just target our game div and put the event listener on there. So I can do a document dot query selector game div dot add event listener, and we'll do a pointer down and call the fire bullet. Okay, so then we should see that make a difference there. So I'll save this, go back to here, and we'll take a look. And now if I can click here all around the screen, and it works. So that's the desired effect I want. And so instead of relying on the Pixi staged to deal with the event, we're just going to use the event on top of our div that houses our canvas. So that's what we did here. So that's something you'll have to consider. All right, so to shoot things, now we see that we're calling this, and it's hitting it multiple times every time we do a pointer down, which is what we want. Now we have to figure out how to handle the bullets. So first things first is we will create an array. All right, and the reason why I want an array is we want to keep track of all the bullets on the screen, or at least all the ones that you fire, and so that we can move them all, as well as determine when and where they are, and then destroy them if necessary. Okay, and that's a very important thing because as bullets move off the screen, if you don't get rid of them, they'll still be tracked by Pixi, and eventually you can imagine lots of bullets. It could cause a performance problem, so you don't want to have to deal with that. So next thing we want to do is we want to also create a game loop, because obviously as the game runs, once you fire the bullets, they have to go somewhere and they have to be able to move. So we'll do a ticker. We'll add our game loop to the ticker. All right, so add our game loop in here. And so we'll put this down here, function game loop. All right, and there'll be a delta time that goes along with it. We may or may not use that, but there's that. And the other thing I might want to add in here is maybe, let's do a let bullet speed equals 10. Let's just do that. So that will be the speed of our bullets. All right. So next what we want to do is take a look at the fire bullet part of it. So the fire bullet, all right, what are we going to do? We have to create a sprite for the bullet, right? So similarly how we create a sprite for our player object, we'll do the same thing over here. So we'll just leave that there for now. Let's make sure it works. And we'll basically, well, let's create an object. So we'll just say bullet equals new, let's see, actually, let's do it this way. We'll do a create bullet function. Okay, so we'll call that. And then what we'll do is we'll push the into our array. Okay, so we'll do that. So we're going to create a function for that now. Function create bullet. All right. And so what we're going to do is we will create our own thing here. So we'll have bullet equals new pixi.sprite.from. All right, we have images slash, I don't have a bullet. I just realized that. All right, so I'll have to create a bullet. Let's just go do that then. So let's, I'm going to save this real quick, and I'm going to run paint, and I'm going to create a, see, resize this to say 8 pixel by 8 pixel box, just so we have something here, and we'll make it. Let's see, what's a good color for? Let's look at it kind of like a light green, and we'll fill that there, and we'll save it. So file, save, and so we'll save it as bullet.png. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. So there. So now we have our bullet PNG. So now we're going to create that from there. Okay. So once again, we do the same thing, like the anchor point, 0.5, so it's in the center. All right. So this is where we're going to basically spawn. Where are we going to spawn this thing at? Well, we're going to spawn it at the player's location. So player.x and equals player.y. So we're going to spawn it right at the center point of our player. All right, so that's where it's going to start. And we're going to give this thing a parameter. We'll call it, let's see, we'll call it speed. All right, and we'll set that equal to bullet speed. All right, what I defined above. Okay, and so then what we're going to do then is we'll have to add it to the stage. Right, so add app.stage.addChild, and we'll add the bullet to the stage. Ultimately, we'll return the bullet to the calling function, and then that'll basically come back up to here, and then we'll just assign that to our array. Okay, seems simple enough, right? So let's just save this, and we'll go and take a look and see what it looks like here when we run it. So I click fire, right? So and we'll take a look at the bullets array, and we see that bullets has 3 items in it. There they are. Okay, now granted they're not doing a whole lot because they're still sitting in the middle of my player. So this is where the update part comes in. We need to update in the game loop. We have to basically move them. So then we can go back here and look at the game loop now. And so let's call another function. We'll make one called let's see, update bullets. All right, so let's call that function there, and we'll pass in a delta just in case if we need it for anything. All right, and then so we'll put a function up here. Update bullets. Okay, and then so now we're going to We're going to basically move each of them. So we're going to loop through our bullets array. So we'll do a simple for loop for, let's see, let I equals 0, I less than bullets.length. All right, and then we'll increase our counter. All right, standard for loop stuff here. You can do it, see, Alt-Shift-F is a format in Visual Studio Code, which is really handy, so you can format the code, make it look easier to read. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do bullets I. All right, we're going to have that current one, position dot y, and then we'll increase that by its own speed. All right, so we're going to move that. So doing this will allow it to move. So if we just save this, for example, we'll see what happens here. Go back to here, and we'll see that I fire. Oh, it's going the wrong direction. I actually wanted to go up, so we'll fix that. But you see how it goes away. Now the problem, though, once again, is if you look at the developer tools here, our bullets, we have 9 bullets now, and nothing's on the screen. So that's not really what we want. We want to get rid of those things. So let's see. Let's change this around because we want to go the other direction. All right, so we want to go minus speed. So it'll go upwards for us. All right, so now we want to basically detect if they're off the screen, right? So we can still have a simple if loop here. Actually, it's inside the for loop, not outside the for loop. So we moved it, right? So I want to check it. So if bullets I dot position, let's see, y is less than 0. So now it's officially off the top of the screen now, right? We'll set our own parameter for it inside, and we'll call it dead equals true. All right, so there. So now we're going to set that to, it's going to set, if it's off the screen, we set this new parameter inside it called dead to true. Then we can do something with it, right? So then once we're done with that, each one of them says now moved, and we check the position. Now next what we want to do is let's go find out which ones that we can just get rid of. All right, so we'll have another for loop here. And actually we'll just copy and paste this just for sake of simplicity, because this is where we're going through the same thing anyway. And we go through that, each one of these, right? And basically then we want to basically look for if let's see, if bullets I dot dead, all right, then we can basically remove it. So I'll do a app dot stage dot remove child, and we'll remove this current one. All right, then we'll also get rid of it from the array. We'll splice it. I, comma 1. Just get rid of one item from the array at that position. Okay, so there's that. So let's take a look at what happens now. Let's go back through here, and see they spawn upwards. And if we break the tools here, we see bullets is an empty array. So there we have it. So now we're shooting. We have bullets. They go off the screen, and they basically deallocate. You can probably simplify this by moving it in here too, I think. I just realized that now, instead of looping it twice. But you see how the update bullets routine is called by our game loop, and basically moves and gets removed. So there you are. So that's a simple example of creating bullets and using an event handler on the DOM instead of the stage itself to basically handle our click event to fire a bullet, we spawn a bullet, move it, and get rid of it at the same time. All right, so hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll move on to other topics.